Shake the hey. What's up, y'all? I'm filling in Ordinal Grandpa's intro today. Welcome to Ordinals Are Dead, where we trauma bond weekly. We got Rudy, Mr. On-Chain Monkey Specialist, and we got a very special birthday boy project with us today.
Hey,
Mr. Star Lord. It's 3 years, right?
3-year anniversary for Ordinals, yeah.
Shit. You guys got they got a really sick pop-up in the studio right now. I'm an anime fucking weeb, so it brings joy to my heart.
Let's go.
But happy birthday. I'm excited to dig deep into everything going on. But the energy in the Bitcoin ecosystem as of recently has been pretty electric. We all came back from Nashville. Everyone's recovered. Builders are building cool shit. The talk of the town this week comes to be Bitcoin season 2 is starting. There's a lot of hype around OpCat and the things being built there. We had a very interesting space last Friday where we had Sci4 and English come on, talk about OpNet, and which we also had OpCat, and we also had the Fractal Bitcoin people come up and also talk about the development. There's a very interesting technical discussion there talking about how once we have OpCat, we might still need some protocol like OpNet and Fractal Bitcoin to actually kind of bring the bridge of more Bitcoin DeFi. While OpCat enables trustless bridging, you still need these other side chains. I know we don't like using the word, but we got side chains or layer 2s, whatever going on. But what's really interesting about Fractal Bitcoin to me, I guess maybe it's marketing, but the way that they explain it is that it's not a side chain, it's not a layer 2, but instead it uses Bitcoin's core code and is an extension on top of it. So it's like layers on top of Bitcoin in order to bring faster transactions, more functionality to that. And to be frank, I don't know too deep on the technicals, but there is currently a live Signet in which you could test their wallet out. So if you go on the Fractal Bitcoin Twitter page, go through their thing, you could download their custom wallet, get some testnet Fractal Bitcoin faucet. And yeah, I think it's a good idea to experiment and play with it, because whether or not some people disagree about it's a layer 2, and there's a lot of off-chain transactions. As a degen, I personally think that something like that will cook. I mean, the fact that we brought it up on the show today means that, yeah, it's relevant enough. And we had a big space last week, so it's something to look into. What's your guys' opinion on Fractal Bitcoin, Sir Starlordy?
I feel like it's a potential contender, just at least even based on the narrative stuff.
Contender to who?
Just to be part of the ecosystem, you know what I mean? But I like you, I don't know anything about the tech. I mean, I know nothing compared to you. I started looking into it a little bit like a couple months ago. And
Fractal?
Yeah, somebody was pitching that concept to me. Like, yeah. And
couple months ago.
Yeah.
So no, we love people that see their shit through. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no. So I think it's very interesting, but I like to see what their early builders build with the stuff that they're pitching. I think that gives it creates a soul for the thing. You know? And so so it's a little too early to tell, but it's definitely something to talk about. And hey, for the space to even have something new to talk about is always exciting. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. I mean, the most exciting thing, whether or not how the tech actually works. Can we also get chat on the TV? But what's really cool is that, yeah, it just adds excitement. It's like, oh my God, there's new things going on Bitcoin. And one thing that I love seeing, regardless of what's going on, is experimentation. Something for DGen to talk about, something for mass marketing and attention and excitement to come into the ecosystem. And I guess what's cool is that so off rip, I remember Unisat. Are you a BRC20 fan?
I mean, I'm not an avid junkie, no.
Okay, so you don't partake in the BRC heroin
really.
needle casino.
I'm a little busy.
Do you partake in the Rune casino, the cleaner heroin needle?
A little bit.
Okay,
a little bit.
I mean, what's your opinion on the whole Fractal thing? You had very interesting opinions on it in terms of.
I don't have anything. Well, I think you discovered that it wasn't off chain, right? So
it seemed really I was reading through, and it seems like the actual indexers they do. I mean, it seems like a soft fork, but
yeah. So, I mean, I guess whatever they're using it for, I think I'm more bullish on what I guess we'll find out what works in time. But I think it's just incredibly positive that people are building, and even if it doesn't, who wins and what wins, the fact is that there are people interested and motivated and really interested in building new things. That's really where that's bullish. You might not, everyone talks about, the bull run or this and that, or it's slow. Well, as long as you have builders, that you have to build the stuff before the rush comes. So the fact that there is money, incentive, and focus on building is incredibly bullish.
Are you gonna ape it?
Probably. The degen side of me is feeling a little regretting that I was aware of it already and I didn't get a little deeper early, so we'll see.
I mean, that's the thing that makes us. Also, what's up, Shamana? Right. We don't got the TV set up yet, but I got chat put on my phone. What's up, Zilla MF?
Hey, what's up,
Well,
Zilla?
I don't know. I just in general, it's really nice to have the timeline talking about something.
What is the narrative right now around it? How's the community viewing it in terms of the potential? What does it feel for us, in terms of as a space?
So as a space, I think culture is interesting. So my initial impression is that it's BRC20 code. Mostly just because, Unistat's the one funding it, and they're going through, but they have an interesting partnership with Binance. So it's okay, there's real money going into this shit. Sure, so no matter what my opinion is, there is good real money going into this. And usually when you have that initial investment, you also they're able to convince their little whale cabal or their whale friends saying, hey, we're building this. This is real shit we're working on. Come check it out. Maybe you drop it back. Have some token support. Well, basically asking for support.
Well, and when it comes from an established, wallet or, platform, clearly they're building something to enhance their, what they're offering. Right. So that there is a huge difference between, hey, I had this idea, and professional builders with some experience. Right. That they've been around and they know a direction. They, we are here. This is where we'd like to go. This is where we need to go. So that's infrastructure. And to me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anything going on in terms of infrastructure or things about that you're excited for?
That I'm excited for?
Yeah.
I mean, I think people aren't excited enough for just the Ordinal protocol itself. I'm still flabbergasted at that. What you could do with with files, right? Because that's at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? You're storing a file, and you're able to send that, right?
Storing raw data.
Well, the data could be whatever, right? No, there's no parameter to that except file size, but it seems that those barriers are getting tackled weekly, and so for me that is the essence of culture, civilization, right? Is storing information and the distribution of it. So I think the majority of the people here haven't even tapped into the true potential that can be.
So after a year, that's actually a good point, because with everything that's kind of coming out and things I'm seeing and things that are forming, there is actually a lot more possible than what people initially thought. And it's kind of I relate this directly to the AI industry and what's going on there. But it's, you discover pieces and you discover new ways of interoperability, step by step, brick 100%. By brick. And when you unlock one section of this, you kind of go, oh shit, that's possible, and that wears up the brain, and there's a lot of other pathways that open up. Boom. In terms of, we could also do this on Bitcoin. Yeah. Hey, we could, and I think that's kind of the vibe that Fractal Bitcoin gives me as well, is we have all these talks the last year and a half, things that are possible, how Ordinals works as a meta protocol, the potential of OBCAT coming out, and I don't know, it just seems like...
Feels like we're on the precipice of another breakthrough level of innovation on the tech. I think that also helps spur breakthroughs in terms of trading volume and interest and collecting and degen.
Once we have something to speculate on, that's usually how it goes.
That's all we need.
And I talked about this on I brought this up on the Space Student on Friday. And my hypothesis with runes, and we'll get into the rune topic, and we're gonna get a runes run. But I think right now the biggest argument is, it's so hard to shitcoin on runes. There's no liquidity pools. The one thing I want to remind every single person in the Ordinals ecosystem about is BRC20s also had no liquidity pool, and that still made millionaires on end. It was up only for a couple months straight. Don't forget that feeling. like when it comes to that, like I think it's just an excuse so that the market didn't really pick up. So everything negative about runes, oh my god, it's difficult, oh my god, it's so hard to trade. It's like you wouldn't be bitching if that shit was up.
Dude, it's a different kind of trader.
It is a different kind of trader.
Some of your smarter traders, right, they love the accumulation phase, right? Yeah. It's not just jump in when it's about to go parabolic. I mean, that's great timing, but accumulation phase can really pay off, right? It gives you time to fill your bags. And so, I mean, I've purchased things that were incredibly hard to obtain before, you know what I mean? Where it took me days, right? Like things that were not sold in the United States, you know what I mean? If you want it, that's a different kind of trader. Someone crying about, oh, it's too hard.
Hang on, it's so hard.
Like what people don't like. What I don't understand is like just look at the market cap of Bitcoin, period. Like and the pedigree of it. It's like Bitcoin MFers, ordinal MFers are just built different on every level on how they react to the market, how they collect.
We're psychopaths.
Like like what their triggers them to buy more. It's like they have no fear, or like on ETH, it's like ETH drops and everyone's like, oh, it's the end.
They're
of
not
the
as
world.
emotional.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, way less emotional, and they're way more. I feel like they're more honest. They see things more clearly about what's going on, and then they have more patience. So like for instance, for me as a builder, my favorite thing about being in the Ordinals community is that like when I talk to people about building, they like genuinely appreciate that. Versus on ETH, it's always just like,
what's the ticker?
Yeah, are you gonna drop a token?
Yeah.
You know,
give me a heads up.
How can my bags
I'm in a desert wasteland.
Yeah.
Please,
when
Papa.
Should I sell?
Please, Papa, pump me.
When do I dump?
Something.
When do I
Give me
dump?
some juice.
What do you mean you work 6 months on this cool tech thing?
Right.
That doesn't make my number go up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
So I think it shows that on every level, people who are really Bitcoin maxis just have a fundamentally different approach to it. That's why I feel like once runes really takes off like in a big cultural way across Web3, because right now we're still building it, you know what I'm saying? The ceiling is way higher than anything we've seen.
What do you think it takes to get that rune? So I have my catalyst thesis that I will say. What is your you both seem to have one. What's your catalyst thesis on runes?
I think it's still a macro issue. I think all NFTs and Web3 stuff is more macro, because even the shitcoining is like Solana became more popular because ETH people had nowhere to turn to, because people who were left in the space were like the most hardcore degens, and that's like a great place for them to be, you know what I mean? So I feel like for runes, we just need more wallets, to be honest. So we need people like Trump to like pump Bitcoin, no matter what you feel about him, pump Bitcoin. It's not just gonna be Trump, by the way. If people forget, it was the Democrats before who were pushing crypto. It wasn't until because they took so much fucking money from SBF when FTX fell, they had to pivot and be like, oh, crypto's evil. Like we don't associate with scammers and stuff. But actually, they were the ones pushing crypto even more. And then the pendulum switched over to conservatives, because once Democrats weren't all into it, then conservatives were like, wait a second, like
I kind of fuck with this.
Yeah, this works with my values.
I kind of rock with this. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. We need some stimulus money. That's what we need.
Okay, so you think catalyst for runes is a general macro thing? I mean, you brought up NFTs, and DeGods are going on a really interesting run where I think they went from like 14 sold to 36 francs, like doing fucking great, getting the timeline hyped up and all that attention. So it does feel like the pendulum shift of. Also, shout out Pump Fun, because it was really during the Donald Trump and Elon Musk debate where just so many people got burnt on Pump Fun. Like a lot of people got hella burnt on Pump Fun, and everyone started turning against Pump Fun and attacking it like fucking sheep. Like what it's been, but it feels like the pendulum shift in terms of getting rugged every single fucking day for 6 months straight. Say, hey, this is actually really fun in the NFT direction. I think it all consolidates into the next run that we're about to have on Bitcoin, because fuck Solana.
I want to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to jump in on back to like the thesis, right? The catalyst. I have a thesis on that. I really think that it's you're asking about runes, but I really think that it's gonna come. The catalyst is gonna come. I believe a lot has to do with the Bitcoin community, the Bitcoiners, the actually adopting multiple use cases for Bitcoin and seeing the value.
That would create an insane run.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a lot of people don't realize, right, that was what caused Ethereum to explode. It was the Ethereum community got behind the whole thesis of art, NFTs on Ethereum, because you had a chain where everyone was, filling their bags and holding Ethereum. And it took a while for the community to come around and say, you know what, this is good for Ethereum, right? Let's support this. There's something here. And that's, it took time to, build out smart contracts and things like that, so that you had to provide a structure where it made sense. I think that the same thing is very, like, that's what we're waiting for. When people say we're early, I look at it, yeah, we're early because until, back to your point, right? The Bitcoin community, Bitcoiners tend to be a little bit more logical and a little more intelligent, right?
A little bit.
They're a little bit.
A little bit.
So they're not
Especially
ready.
if
They're
they're
just
sitting
not going to just gamble away the Bitcoin that they actually
Also, they cherish
believe in.
that Bitcoin.
That's what I'm
man.
saying. They believe in it, right? So unless they see something that is a few things, not just one fucking shooting star. They need to see an ecosystem that is taking this serious and presenting good products, good ideas, and good use cases in order for them to support. And that's when you're gonna get a fucking catalyst.
That's actually a good point.
Actually, speaking of, so I want to. This is a quick shout out to the homie Bunzy, because he talked about taking the ecosystem serious. Bunzy and gang dropped a open source developer tool recently called Laser Eyes, and what that is a developer SDK which allows you to have Ordinal wallet connectivity on your site, so you don't got to worry about doing all the complex connection things. They just implement the SDK on the site. You got the API access. People are allowed to just come in the site, connect their Unisat or Xverse wallet, and boom, now you got wallet connectivity functionality on your thing. Today they dropped a partner, I think today they partnered with Ordinals Bot in terms of making actual websites that already has that. And it's just streamlined. But when it comes to developer tools, like, to me, that is one of the most important things that we could have, and like is a sign of taking the ecosystem seriously.
100%.
Like, developers building shit for developers, and that's really insane. So shout out them. Check out Laser Eyes. Go to Bunzy's Twitter and look through that shit, because you're an absolute goat. I have fun functionality things that I'm gonna work on related to that.
And at the same time, right, you want a user interface, right? You want something. You can't, everything can't be just for developers, because developers
it needs to also be for users.
It has to be dumbed down a little bit, right? It's got to be extremely user friendly. We live in a time where convenience and very short attention span. So it's got to be something where I could just click a button, right? Click a button, and you make it easy. I don't want to worry. Right, and neither does anyone else.
I think that's the ultimate thing too with the Ordinals eco. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the UX you got is shit, but it's improving. But like what really highlighted that recently is the numbers of how much money Photon, the shitcoin like website bot, made. And bro, it's like 9 figures. Like, they were making 9 figures off fees, and it's not even as good as some Telegram bots. Like, some Telegram bots are faster,
but it's that.
But they're on Telegram.
But it's out there.
But like, it's pretty up there. It's pretty fast. But in terms of the UX, it's like, it's so nice. It's so easy for users to go on. It has phone compatibility. I use it because it's so fun. And then I found out they're like rinsing us. I'm like, wow. They're like, that's actually fucking insane. But that's how, like, game is game. So I really appreciate it.
Bring a towel. You're getting rinsed off.
But in turn, I'm like, bro, if we had a Photon for runes that just made the experience easy, it's like, hey, like, we want to buy this rune. Cool, you have automatic sniping protection, so all you got to do is buy it. And like, sure, you got to wait a bit. That's just Bitcoin itself. But if you could guarantee that the money you put into runes is there and you're protected automatically, and it's a very easy system, which I know some people are working on, it just makes the experience so much lucrative to gamble in. My thesis with, are we going to get a runes or an Ordinals run anytime soon? I think it's literally when Bitcoin runs. I'm keeping it super, super simple. When Bitcoin starts making its break for all-time high, our entire on-chain ecosystem starts blowing the fuck up. Like, I think that's all it takes. And the reason why I say that is because as an ETH NFT trader for 2 years, I would always experience, oh, Ethereum went down, NFTs go down. Oh, Ethereum went up in price, NFTs went down. The only time NFTs would start running is when ETH consolidated and did not move up or down and was just sideways. When Ethereum gets sideways, the market got bored and NFTs started running. for Ordinals, I thought it would be a very similar experience, but for the first time, we experienced the polar opposite that broke my mind. And what broke my mind is I remember minting node monkeys for 0.03 Bitcoin, and within the week, it ran up to 0.15. That's a lot, like 0.12 Bitcoin profit.
And you cheated?
No, fuck. Who do you think you're talking to? Don't ever disrespect. I cheated. No, I know what I hold.
Pocket check you.
But what I'm trying to say is that, okay, cool. Like that shit ran up 0.15 Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's value at the time was sitting at like 20 to 28,000, around that range. When Bitcoin started making its break with all the ETFs and all the info that started coming up, and we literally 3x'd from $20,000 to previous all-time high at $68,000, my node monkeys and the entire Ordinals ecosystem tremendously ran up. Like node monkeys were sitting at 0.15 Bitcoin at 28K Bitcoin value price. Bro, at 68,000 Bitcoin, my node monkeys were worth 0.9 Bitcoin each. That was like my ordinal asset 8x in value, and the underlying asset Bitcoin itself 3x in value at the same time simultaneously. And that really broke my mind. And then we had, like, bro, the goldfish memory makes people forget that we had an Ordinals run that ran up for 4 months straight. It was nonstop, up only for 4 months straight. Everyone made so much money, and the music stopped for a little bit. Ordinals are dead. I'm gonna cry. My bags aren't loaded. We're gonna get that music back, and it's gonna last way more than 4 months. And things like
also,
going on.
you can see a little taste of that. How you're talking about when the Bitcoin whales spend. It's like they flip the volume on Bored Apes like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. I was like, that's the most bullish signal. I'm like, if you could flip the king with not even having any participation really in the ecosystem.
And think about right. It's about community, right?
Yeah.
So
it's stronger now.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, right? So there's already existing community, and then everyone sends a message like, "Hey, what do you know?" They've already made a decision. It's like, what are we looking at? Yeah. It doesn't take much.
It does not take much. I think that's what's like, to pivot to the topic of what's happening in runes right now, is we have RSIC that's kind of going on, just like at 3x from the bottom. It's being talked about.
What triggered that?
Rune Toshi tweeting.
Okay,
Rune Toshi basically went MIA for I think like a month or 2 months or a couple of weeks, whatever. Man, everyone was shit talking RSIC. Wow, it's fucking dead. Not doing anything. It's all vaporware. First off, everything is vaporware, so don't ever say that dumb shit in the crypto space.
And I hate hearing people say that.
Like, of course it's vaporware. We're messing with fucking money is vaporware. Everything is vaporware. Bro, utility is made from what humans find valuable. And if people find digital JPEGs valuable, it's valuable. Like, it's that simple. But anyways, he comes in. He just makes a couple of tweets and that shit starts trending. I mean, are there whale cabals in the back end that are running up the volume because runes are so disgustingly easy to manipulate? Probably. But you can still sell into that. So ultimately, does it matter? I don't think so. And like, when I saw that, I was like, I forgot Rutoshi had game like that. Because it's like, it's really impressive when you have people who all they have to do is tweet and they move a market. Like, that is very, very impressive. I don't know if I would ever want that power. It seems scary to have.
I think you're going to have that power eventually.
That is scary to have. But, but the reason too.
You already have it, but it's in the chat.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to put my fucking Wonko Monko back. That's the only rune I want to move, please. I think it happens. I think when the general rune run happens, like, it's guaranteed.
I think it's pre-programmed.
I think it's programmed. It's programmed in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But and just looking into why he has that motion, it's like Rune Toshi basically, and the RSIC devs and that whole ecosystem basically started the rune game. Like when Casey made the rune blog and was like, hey, this seems really interesting. This is how we could have efficient native layer 1 token fungibility on Bitcoin. Then it didn't take long. It took a couple weeks for R6 team and Rune Toshi to develop the whole R6 strategy on chain, starting from inscription like 190 or 160 or something around that range. So I'm like, okay, that's big dig off rip. Airdropping it to the top communities. And the moment that airdrop landed in our wallet, I was like, yep. That's gonna fucking cook. So he did make. I would say in terms of, because when you make people money in this space, there's a respect. It's just, I guess that's the way. That's the way humans make
loyalty.
They're here. Yeah.
But it's crazy. It's crazy how.
It's funny
how
what money does.
It's crazy.
But that also brings to a point earlier that in this space, the key thing of what you just said is like he got that respect because he built something quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
He shipped.
He had to build something, you know, in the sense of like with ETH and stuff where it's at right now is you don't have to be a builder. You could launch stuff and just be a scam artist. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like you have to at least understand the technology right now to be able to take advantage of it. You know, it's not at a place where somebody who doesn't know anything can just press a button and like print money. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like we're still in that early phase where it's like we respect people who at least have the balls to go out there and do something. You know, so I think it's still time too. I think that's why I try and onboard as many people from other chains as possible. Be like, yo, this is if you're a builder, like
This is where it's
even
at.
if you're a DJ and you want to make a lot of money, but if you're a builder, like come
Bro,
here.
this is a several $100 billion industry.
right.
Great
And
opportunity.
I think
The
every
best.
builder understands that and does take it that seriously.
Yeah.
Because that's my ultimate hypothesis with what's going on with Bitcoin. It seems like Bitcoin itself as a currency is speedrunning world dominance. And when you have a fully on-chain ecosystem based entirely off a global currency, to me, that makes that ecosystem the most valuable ecosystem in the entire world. It's just what makes the most sense in my head. That was the hypothesis I started when Ordinals first dropped. And I was like, yeah, I'm full sending this. And it seems like it's playing out. I think we're about 75% right in the hypothesis so far.
I think you could expand on that. You could actually expand on that because when you're saying like, right, on this global thing, like people are using it. Well, okay, so now you're talking about, right, like supply and demand. What is like a hammer, right? A hammer in one village when it got created versus, you know, oh, I use a hammer to build a house. I use a hammer for a weapon. I use it. So as it spreads across the world, there's all these use cases. Hammers are in demand, right? Value goes up.
Yeah,
And
I like
so-
hitting people with hammers. It's my favorite utility. You don't gotta sound straight to that. I don't slap people with hammers, but I understand your point. Like the greater range it goes in, the more value.
Well, the more
you
use
have.
cases. So the more people build use cases, the more popular.
I mean, it's also almost as simple as like build something that, like you said, makes people some money, and then it becomes a self-perpetuating narrative, and people push it out there, and it just attracts other people to come in. Like I definitely saw during that 4-month bull run, I'm like, oh, I clearly see people who told me not to go into ordinals, who was like, why would you do that? There's no volume, blah, 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 all this shit. All of a sudden on Twitter, like, yo, what's the top ordinals community I should look into and all this? I'm like, come on, just come on in.
We
Where
welcome
the
you with
water's
open
warm,
arms,
bring your
it's
liquidity.
okay.
But I could see that it's like, oh, like at the end of the day, people follow narrative,
100%.
right? And so I think on the ordinal side, we just got to keep building and pumping that narrative of what we're building and how we're changing people's lives, you know?
Plus, like you're saying, right, on the east side, everyone's like fucking traumatized. Everyone's traumatized, right, by all the lies and scams.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's something else that I know zero about and don't know how to research it. Who do I trust? This really sounds sketchy, right?
Yeah. Fair.
How are we changing people's lives?
I think what we do is it's not everybody's lives, but I think the ones who come in early and are able to profit off of it, whether it's like Pump.Fun or whether it's runes or NFTs, I think that and from my observation is like most of the people like are just kind of a neutral element in this space, but some of them go on to actually build stuff on their own. Some of them just stay in the space because their lives have been changed with like money that they never had before, you know what I mean? But also what I notice is it also inspires people to do stuff. Like it changed my life in the sense of like when 2021, when the bull run popped, I was in Clubhouse just like everybody else. I knew NFTs were going to be the thing. I kind of took my eye off the ball, and then I came back in a couple months later, and like a bunch of friends of mine who were in the same Clubhouse rooms were all of a sudden like, wait, you're a millionaire now because you minted a bunch of ape JPEGs early.
Right.
I'm like, what? And think about how many people quit their jobs, decided to go all in on Web3, decided to, like I said, build stuff. Like even me, like I was like, you know what? I want to build something and see what I could do. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it does change people's lives, but not in like this fantasy, like, oh, just if you get in crypto, you're gonna like be a good person or some shit. It's just like, it is the greatest wealth transfer in history, where it gives you a chance to plug into different ways.
It is the actual wealth transfer.
It
That's
is
what
the
I've
actual.
experienced.
So I think it does change lives, whether you're if you're in the forefront, though. You have to be bold. You have to be willing to be in it. And that's why I think, again, with Ordinals, with every opportunity that is growing from the space and the type of whales that are just hanging back there that haven't even deployed liquidity yet, people like you guys who build stuff that are fucking awesome, you know, like, I think it's going to change people's lives, man.
I think.
What do you think?
I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah.
I
How does it change
think
people's lives?
so. I mean, it's changed my life in such a rapid way. I've had this new I've had this new thought process on how things are gonna go with how rapidly AI development has gone. And truthfully, from the things I've seen, it does seem like AI is going to cause rapid job displacement within the next 2 years, 100,000 fucking percent. It's like it's already possible. There's some things that I see being made, and I'm thinking that's an entire industry that just got wiped out. My bad.
Thousands of people.
Sorry, but when it comes to the crypto sphere and the crypto space and Web3 in general, I mean, truth be told, take every single degen on Solana, take majority of the degens who trade NFTs, and put them in a real world, put them in the real society, put them in the normie society.
Not gonna work.
No one has any functional skills.
Anyway.
No one has any actual intelligent knowledge or any way of contributing to society. There are a lot of smart fucks in the space, but there's also a lot of dumb fucks in the space. So when it comes to that, and a lot of people kind of, where do you go? If you want to leave the space, if you get rinsed out, where do you go after the space? Like, you want to go find a job at fast food, you want to go find a job in normal society, in which you're also just going to get rinsed within 2 years by the rapid development of tech. I think that crypto becomes the safe haven of humanity in general, because the thing with AI is, like, I do think it causes a very rapid acceleration of humanity advancement, but it's going to be very painful because it directly combats the capitalistic system that we've been adjusted and used to for the last 100 years or something.
I also feel that there, you know, if people have that foresight, right, clearly can, right, it's there is a level of responsibility, right? If you see danger coming, right, you can, you know, you would think that, you know, responsible minds and intelligence would try to circumvent that or lessen the blow and plan for that, right? You usually, you know, that's usually a government's job, actually, but like to organize things.
And they're the least qualified.
They're 100%. They're not. I wish they were just qualified, but they're underqualified.
They're not qualified enough.
Can I jump in on how impacting lives?
Yes.
One of the things that I saw very early on when I was playing around was, you know, something to me, whether, you know, on ETH, minting something, you know, getting on a wireless, whatever it was, right? Trying to grab something out of a collection. One of the things I witnessed very early and was able to appreciate was the fact that, you know, there were grinders out there. Like I have a really great job. I make good money. This is, you know, a turning point that I'm kind of like merging into. But, you know, there are grinders out there in other countries that are grinding all day long, right? And to me, it's like, oh, I'll buy that thing off you. I got that grail for $100 off that guy, right? Not, and it's like that's a month for them, right? That's a month's salary. That's a week's salary, whatever it is. It's far more to them than it is to me. Yeah. And so like I really, that resonated with me because it's like, I'm participating, on my level for my own reasons, but understanding and knowing that, hey, this is changing people's lives. Like there's people participating around the world that
in the ordinal ecosystem.
In
NFTs
but
in
even
general,
back
just
before
crypto
ordinal.
in general.
Yeah. I mean, people's lives, it was affecting them, right? And it was improving their lives. They had opportunities that you know, this space did provide opportunities that were just, again, you know, this unheard of. And I thought that alone, like, honestly, I don't think it gets covered enough. I don't think it gets talked about enough. I think that alone, you could go around the world on a little like mission with the camera and talk to, venture out to other countries, like, hey, how did the community, how did crypto or how did NFTs impact your area, your culture here? Oh man, we were working here and then now I'm, my mom's got a house, my mom, right? Where the economics is just completely different. I think that for me has been incredibly rewarding, just knowing that is existing in the ecosystem that we're partaking in.
I think, and that supports my point with the AI transitioning happening right now, is that's just one of the effects you get when you have a global currency and a global system that anyone from around the world who has access to internet could partake and go into. And to finish my point with AI for the clip, so I could get the clip out.
Sorry about that.
But no. You're basically good. But I was talking about how, like, where do you go after that? Like, those people, like, you just, after getting a taste of that, like, do you just go back to $100 a week after you've made $1,000 in one day off the ecosystem? Like, it completely alters.
Hopefully you're responsible.
Your sense. Hopefully you're responsible. But leading up to the ultimate point is, I think with AI, it's like ripping off a really painful Band-Aid short term, and then people just kind of don't know what to do. And studies are showing in today's society, when people don't know what to do or they feel hopeless and the economy's down, where do they turn to?
Drugs.
They turn to gambling, also a drug, but gambling, which is also a drug.
They're vices.
But it's a coping mechanism. What a lot of people and like what I've seen in the Web3 space is that is the ultimate thing. And I think it just gets strengthened but the thing with AI is like, okay, your normal average person, that kind of disrupts their life. For the people that already have money, for the people that already could move markets, for the people that already have these businesses, their profit margins become exceedingly large. And even though it's this interesting situation where your normal average person might get shafted until hopefully we get a UBI or something, but the people who already have money and already have systems and are able to use AI to leverage and benefit the fuck out of what they're currently doing, their profit margins skyrocket. And where do those rich fucks put their profit margins when it's skyrocketing and they don't know what to do with this amount of money? I'm assuming
they fund other young fucking ideas and projects, hopefully, right? Because
hopefully, or gamble. In the crypto space.
Gamble.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna gamble.
Throw some crumbs over here.
But that's my whole
I like your idealistic approach, though.
But then it's like, then the gamblers can help with the prayer. But point being, I think that's what we're shaping towards. And how are we changing lives? I think we're building the home. I think we're building the community, the foundation, and just this new culture that's kind of safe from all of the things going on. True. And is a way to consolidate. And again, it's a global currency. So when things start happening on a mass scale, it's a safe place for everyone around the world to come and like huddle up around the fire and feel warm again after being distracted.
It also culturally brings people together from all around the world in a way that no industry has ever done before. Because just going to conferences all over, it's like, you see so many different people that come from every type of culture you could imagine, and yet the vibe is still the same whether you speak the language or not. Like, we're all kind of here for a similar set of reasons, and I think that in itself is comfort and safety, just to know that, like, it's like making a best friend, like
it's warm,
stability in the like the mentality, right? And
it's like safety in numbers, and a lot of that's psychological too. Like, I remember the first NFT NYC, like how insane the vibe was. People, collectors meeting their the artists for the first time, like artists crying because they're meeting someone that changed their life. Like, literally that kind of stuff was happening like all over the place. And also people who are like became best friends on Discord, meeting in person for the first time. For that
me and my homie.
No, it's legit though. It's real.
Sure. No, it is real shit. Yeah. And so okay, now we got this little safe haven. We're gonna vibe out with people. But unfortunately, it's turned into this degenerate gambling casino. But before, it was just nothing in vaporware. We actually had this key word, this little hidden word that now scares people, and that's utility.
Oh, I thought you were going to say on-chain.
No, on-chain makes me horny. But when it comes to utility and what's going on. Star-Lord, as someone developing someone in like OM1 Force, and you with what you're developing with what's it called RuneScape. Where do you guys think, in your opinion, we see a return of the utility meta, especially with people getting burnt on just vaporware?
Yeah.
And if so, what kind of utility would we actually need in this space to when people come and huddle around the fire in this destructive whatever happens in the next 2 years, what will make them go, hey, this is actually truly benefiting my life, and we could change more lives in that manner as well?
Man, that's such a deep question. I've been thinking about that for years now, because the thing is like when Oni Force launched in 2021 in August, the word utility wasn't even a thing, and then a couple months later, because there were so many scams happening, you had to differentiate yourself, be like, no, my project does something, you know what I'm saying? And then this utility thing came up, and then it became like a buzzword, and then a cliche, and then it became false promises and like broken promises, and now it's like utility has no meaning, where like most people, especially if they're conditioned from ETH, it's like it's just a word that helps them speculate, will the number go up, right? Does this utility sound like other people will buy the bullshit, and I can speculate on that. I think on Ordinals right now, because it is authentic right now and it's very much more pure, I think utility is coming more from a place of joy, of like, hey, what could I do that would like make you impressed with my skills, or what could I do just so I feel good I'm contributing? Yeah. And so I think that's great. I think utility will probably become coming soon into the conversation more, because as competition heat ups, you're going to have to differentiate yourself more too.
It can't all just be nothing.
It can't all just be nothing. And we've already seen like some people in the space fuck their names up, where they had built a name and then they drop something and then they're like, oh, it's just art, you know? And
do you have any name drops you like to drop? You can whisper it in my ear.
But you know what I'm talking about. People where they're preemptively like, no, it's just art. There's nothing promised.
It's all vibes.
Yeah, and we're like, okay, bro. Like, just the fact that you're like taking the extra effort to say that is like, oh, you're rugging us, you know what I'm saying?
So that's interesting, because we got some topics that I kind of skipped over because I was super engaged in the thing. But speaking of that, where it's just art, bro.
Yeah.
So we got a couple of mints that happened recently. So we had Octoglyph, which was a 10K collection that sold out. And I think like the interesting thing about what they're doing is that they have like some sort of rune miner game going in with that. But I'm curious on your guys' opinion, because there's a lot of projects that kind of have a rune, and it's a rune miner, in terms of what about that would be different in terms of like other things going. Like, do you have Octoglyphs that you mint?
I got an honorary actually dropped to me. I'm gonna be honest, I have not done the research on it. Okay. I will say though that in general, the danger I see, especially from seeing what happened on ETH, is like, we're also in the phase of everybody fucking around and finding out. So it's like very easy to be like, oh, I'm dropping
Degens fucking around and finding out. Founders fucking around and finding out.
Founders.
Okay.
I think the problem with utility and with Octoglyphs and things like that is like, because Mind Ruiner is a utility, right? Like the problem is you play this game, you start this game that never ends, and the expectations never end, and you don't know what's like the 10th move down the line, like what you set into the motion. It's all dominoes.
I wing everything. So
I mean, that's all we can do, because we can't even pretend we know what's going to happen next month.
No fucking clue.
Right? But I'm just saying, like, when it's tied to like collection, miner, money, that's the order that people think in their head, right? Is like, how can I get free money? Now you're gonna have to deliver that, and if not, like, your reputation gets tied to that. You know what I mean? So
okay, so without name dropping,
yes,
to be respectful, you did talk about like other. So you did talk about other anonymously named founders in the space that do this kind of rinse and repeat process of dropping a collection and running it. And at what point does that goodwill kind of run out? At what point? How often? As a founder, can you drop a collection and sell out the next one?
I think with a lot of these people, often with me, like, I'm different. Like, so I grew up in the street, so like my bullshit meter's pretty dialed in. You know what I mean?
So you don't fuck with people with
I don't. And I can be.
You have a zero tolerance.
Zero. And I could be like cordial, I could be friendly, all those things, right? But I'm not going to give you my fucking money, right? And so and I think that a lot of those people, though, the individuals that do that, they know that this space has a lot of naive people and a lot of dreamers, a lot of gamblers, a lot of hopers, right? So you can just keep going. You know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry about that, not my fault, right? And it leaves it open though, but at the same time, I don't blame. You gotta be like, I do believe in self-accountability, right? Like you keep going down the same road, like as a consumer, right? Eventually you need to like take responsibility, some ownership for your bad decisions. And I think that's, does play a role, but I'm not a fan of, serial miners and deployers. I'm not a fan. Just because I think, on the macro, you're taking a lot of attention, liquidity, energy from the bigger picture, right? And so, I would rather not hear if that's what you're about, and you're putting money in your pocket, that's fine. You be about that. But don't spin shit and say, oh, fucking Bitcoin solves this and all this stuff and try to pretend you're anti-establishment. Right?
Bitcoin solves this. What problem does it solve? Me being poor. That's what it solves. Woo! No, I agree. I think also more from a degenerate side. And I've heard this opinion, but basically, what's your role as a founder? Because in my opinion, I think that my role as a founder is to provide value to a community in terms of, to be completely fucking honest, like number go up.
Yep.
It's like you have to understand as a founder how to play the market, what people want. And it's this interesting mix because like it feels like something that doesn't really end because you could make your initial community money, like not to flex, but when it comes to battalion holders, if you minted one for $400 throughout the span of the projects through giveaways and like airdrops that the entire community got, like bro, every battalion minter made a couple $1,000s in profit bare minimum. There's a large number that made 10-figure profit. There's a good amount also that made 6-figure profit off alpha plays and giveaways and other things that happened on. But when new people come into the project, you kind of get this interesting cycle of, okay, the people who made their money in dip. New people come in, and it kind of becomes a cycle where you have to constantly, do you need to make the new people who come in money because they're buying your project? Are there other ways of providing value? Or are you a prisoner to that for the rest of your life the moment you drop a project? And if you kind of get tired of it and you leave, you're known as a serial rugger. And that's an interesting thing.
It's a fucked up spot to be in.
Because crypto is almost like implies it's supposed to go on forever. And you could even think of a founder that started with like all their best intentions in the world. There's people who started projects where they probably spent the whole treasury just trying to keep the company running, right? But it's like because people think of it as like a forever stock or like an investment that they made, it's like maybe they spent 2 years on it and they ruined their own life and they need a break. They need to move on to the next thing. Or some entrepreneurs do truly need to learn. But I think that's the thing about the crypto game is like you got to be so honest and upfront from the beginning every step of the way and address like because I feel the same thing with OniForce is like we have people that bought in at the top when the floor was 7 ETH. Logan Paul spent like $600K on his Oni. He has not made that back yet, right? But I'm like, fuck. If I'm like,
is he still a holder?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and then there's people who bought in at like 0.2, and they're floating right now. So it is a problem when your price keeps going up and down.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like you do have to just realize. What I realize is this, because after the acquisition, I put my head down, and like 6 months, I busted my ass. I delivered more shit than anybody I think pound for pound did within that time period. And then I looked up and I realized, oh, the market doesn't give a shit. Yeah, at least on ETH, right? I was like, literally nobody gives a fuck. And there's even a chart of Doodles, like their floor price literally only goes down after everything that they deliver. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, yeah. And so like, I realized after that, I'm like, oh, you know what? Especially in the cycle we're in now, which is like really more on the shitcoin degen stuff. Trading activity, volume, floor price is marketing. That is the signal that traders look at for them to make decisions, because somebody who's hardcore into that doesn't actually care if you're going to make a comic book or a movie or whatever it is. They just want to think, is the market going to pay me? You know what I mean?
Okay, so asking you directly
Yeah.
as a founder trying to get tips.
Yeah.
Do I save my heavy hitters for when the market is back, or do I just post as I go and not give a shit?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
So in terms of market attention,
Yes.
it's like you could drop during a dead period, no one gives a shit. Or if you save
Save
your
that ammo.
ammo
Save
and you
that.
get it from when the market
Always.
starts running.
No, what I learned is when the market sucks, you actually just want to focus more on communicating and using fun and family as a utility, right? Is you want to use it to shake out the people that don't actually believe in the same things you believe in. Like, you can see what Frank's doing right now. He's like, fuck it, man. I'm going full.
Floor this shit!
Yeah, he's like, get it. But now you can start to see, like, okay, now he is building the cult of people that they're really not going to leave. You know what I mean? So I think what you want to do is in bear times, you want to build and you want to prepare your ammo and you want to prepare your community. So you keep giving them little wins along the way and communicate and just bring them closer to you through more like things that don't scale, like just personal relationships and stuff like that. And like I heard one thing about D-Gods is I heard at one point that their entire team had talked to somebody on their team had talked to every single holder that they had, which is like, you know, probably like over 5,000 people or something, like over the course of like a year, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's connecting.
that's exactly. And so I think
That's
save
really
the
cool.
ammo. I think what's good is drop little tests, like do things to see, like you could do smaller things to see how the market reacts. But if you have a banger, man, yeah, you save that for
100%.
the right moment. But you have to have it pre-built so that way you could just press the button, because that's
Ready
the
to
other
go.
thing. Yeah.
What's so this is just like asking opinion. So I'm like, okay, so one of the things too that I'm trying to balance out that gets difficult at times is building up my own personal skill when it comes to AI development and research, and actually having the capability of building things out. But I kind of feel this pressure when it comes to a time crunch, in which I have to get better sooner so I can start deploying things sooner. But it seems like you have a different method of filling in the gap while still making the community happy, while you're allowed to hone that in.
Yeah, so you kind of think of it like this, is like there's a narrative that the community has in their head about what it means to be in the project, right? Every project has something, because this is what I realized, like story is code for the brain. Like our entire realities are based on the story we tell ourselves, who we think we are, what we deserve in life, where we're meant to be in the future. Like all this stuff is just a narrative we keep recycling over and over 100%. Again in our head. And so the same thing with the community, man. Like if they decide to give you their money and they're sticking around, there's some story that they're telling themselves why they're there. And you need to figure out like who the most passionate, hardcore people are, what that narrative is.
And support that.
And support that narrative and do things that help them feel like, okay, I'm getting this story realized. Like even the comic book that we're doing, the Only Hunter X, is like, that was literally like comic books were the first thing that the community really wanted. And then they wanted to do it in a way that's Web3. And so we put together a group of people where it's like 77 people got dropped a pass to be able to be in the creative writer's room to develop the comic book. And then now they get to see it like from the writer and the artist develop it and being printed and all this stuff. It's like now they're part of the journey, and they get to tell people when they go to their family's houses for Christmas and they got the comic book in their hand, it's like, hey, I helped make this character. Right? So now the story in their head is like, oh, I'm like part of the IP building in a way that nobody has ever done before, and I'm proud that the results are coming into the world. So now those people don't care about floor price. You know what I'm saying? Because you gave them something else, and then the reward for sticking around is when the bull market comes or when it's time to shoot the ammo, you make sure they get rewarded. And then, yeah, so that's how I look at it.
Okay, so it's kind of a way.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, and it's great questions. Obviously, 3-year anniversary, so you could speak to.
Hey, let's go.
But you know, I'm sure that you've seen, you've learned about the importance also of like who's on your team. Team, right? Yeah. Like team members. You know, people that may initially sound the part.
Yes.
And fail miserably or make things worse, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that at all? Like as far as like a founder who, you know, now what you've learned, like now when you kind of maybe you're looking to expand or you need someone, you want to bring someone on, or you see value in someone in your own community and you're like, hey, I want this fucker right here. I want him on Team Oni, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah. That's actually one of the biggest things I learned in the past couple of years is that I start off with just values because that's just my style. Is like, okay, I know what the values of Oni Force are. It's like you got to really truly believe in the art and the storytelling and the brand. You got to be like a pretty good person. Like you're not like our community is filled with like good-hearted people. They're not like too like degen. They could be more degen, to be honest.
Right.
And then like also like they're willing to like give, you know what I mean? And because that's how we are, you know, we're very open. And so like if it comes to somebody that we might bring on the team, first I gotta check their vibe to see if they have the values, and really that's like the most important step actually. That's like 80%, because then from there you just gotta see like what I like to do is like I'll throw out a goal or a problem and see do they have the ability to like come up with their own way to get there. Like I like to say like everybody on our team is like we hire people where it's like if I left them on a desert island, when I come back months later,
problem solvers.
Yes, they didn't just survive; they built something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You didn't find them in the fetal position.
Right.
Yeah.
In whatever their position is. So if it's like marketing and it's like, hey, our goal is to like make our comic book the biggest comic book in Web3, they need to be able to just literally come off the top of their head with ideas, whether it's right or wrong. It's like you know that they have the ability to set up the problem and try and solve it somehow. I think the tricky part, though, to your question is when you bring in community members. The thing is, what I learned is like it's a double-edged sword because it's really easy to fire someone you don't know, right? It's a lot harder if it's like I got a relationship with them, I was in the trenches with them.
The community has a relationship.
The community has a relationship, and so what I learned there is you got to be like extra careful that you are hiring someone you think is good, and in the community side, it's actually better to if you have someone you think you might want to bring on but you're not sure, put them on a project. See how they handle that, you know what I mean? See how you could work with them
that's
before you get official.
That's actually a very great
because there's so many projects that you could do.
You keep it separate on the side and give them a little,
see how they communicate, see how they deal with pressure. Because I think after the values thing is taken care of, it's kind of like you don't know who you're dealing with until they have to go to war with you.
You're in it.
Yeah, once you're in it, you see how they handle it.
You don't know someone till you live with them.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
100%. Yeah.
So I think what I learned is when it comes to community is like let them work on something that is.
I think that
that
was gold.
Yeah.
I think that's gold to a lot of people listening or founders as far as before you take that big leap, right? Go ahead and give them a side project. Yeah. Let them see how it works.
It's hard because also you just you care about them. You don't want to disappoint them either, and you feel like
makes
as
sense.
a founder, you're like fuck, I wanted you to win.
Right.
It didn't work out. And now you're gonna go floor my shit,
or go away mad, or go away butthurt,
which
right?
is the worst,
right? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Burning down the house on their way out.
Please don't burn down the house. I'm doing my best to do upkeeping. I'll wear a nice little maid fit if that makes you happy. But like real quick, just for the viewers, how do you guys keep up with the space? I'll go first. I just LARP on Twitter.
Yeah. I definitely do a lot of scrolling through Twitter, and then I just like DM people and be like, "Yo, what's going on?" and stuff like that. But
that's
honestly,
real as fuck.
Yeah, I think
send me some feed pics.
Simple. Yeah.
How do you keep up with the space?
I have I don't know, my attention span. Like I don't need a lot. I'm a fast reader. I'm a very good at my comprehension skills are a little advanced. So like I could like scan through there really quick.
Okay, you could read
and fucking. You know what I mean?
Know words.
And just fucking respond, whatever.
Okay.
But I also think like you really need to keep up for so long before. So it's like exploring, right? You're in the space. It's like being at a job or anywhere. Your environment. How long does it take you to fucking take in your environment and start making decisions? What role do you want to play? What do you want to do? Right. So where do you want to fit in? How do you are you going to stay a trader? Are you going to contribute? Are you going to build? Are you going to what is your role? I mean, obviously you're here. If you're going to spend this much time in a fucking industry, you might as well get involved, right, on a different level and find out what that means. I'm big on that. Like let's evolve, right? Help your community evolve. Push them, lead them, guide them, right? Kind of like at least drop that in their ear, right?
Get the idea spinning.
That's all. Plant a seed here or there, right?
Yeah.
Because who else? Who better? Like the people are already here, right? You don't have to go knock on doors. You actually have a shit ton of people that voluntarily come. Now maybe help them find their niche. And let's expand that. Let's strengthen that and utilize that.
Okay. That's a bang. Okay, that's actually a super mega banger. Well, that was Ordinals Are Dead. It was a very special day today with the tuning. We got Star-Lordy from Only One Force. We got Spirit Zero working with On-Chain Monkeys. And yeah, make sure you tune in for IRL Alpha tonight at 7:30 p.m. Visit IRLalpha.com for more links and details. And come to the live stream. Same Twitter account. Peace out, y'all.